All right, right now in the five series, we're going to look at modal jazz albums. Five modal jazz albums. What's modal jazz? In a simplistic way, it's jazz that's based around the mode structure as opposed to chord changes, which gave up more freedom for improvisation for the soloists, which differed from the more rigid um, forms of jazz, which was like bebop, which came prior, and also hard bop too. Modal jazz left room for the soloists, and it was like smoother mode changes, and it became very popular in the 50s and in the 60s. And I'm simplifying it, but anyway, that's what it is. Probably the most famous modal jazz album. It is the most famous jazz album. Sorry, it's got to be the most famous modal jazz album. Kind of Blue, Miles Davis. It's an essential album. It's a famous album. I won't get too much into it, but um, I'm sure you know it. Legendary recording, modal jazz, which I want to say introduced Bill Evans, but Bill Evans is on this album and he contributes to it. And we're going to get into Bill Evans next. He contributed to that album, and they were like, "Who's this Bill Evans guy? He's nice." And then this album came out the same year. People were like, "Yo, Bill Evans is bringing that heat." Everybody digs Bill Evans. It's a famous cover, and it's a really great recording um, in the modal jazz tradition. And he went on to do a number of Sublime records, but this is the one that I don't want to say definitely, but maybe kicked it off for Bill Evans and put him on that trajectory. Okay, modal jazz, we getting it done. Next up, the great John Coltrane, Africa Brass, with the epic tune Africa on this album. It's just Coltrane. He is the one, and this is another member of his huge and diverse and important library. I won't get into it too much, guys. It's Coltrane, right? Come on. Modal Soul. Here's one you don't see around a lot. This is a Dutch jazz recording, which I love. Modal Soul kind of gives it away. It's a it's such a cool hip record. It's like modal, but it's got kind of avant-garde, edgy tendencies too. It's a reckless, brass, in your face record. But it really is just like a cool hip um, drive of a jazz record. It's the kind of jazz record that I love, that I like. Hard bop meets modal, and it's hip and it's cool and it's European, and that's what I'm digging on right now. And as FedEx, you have to mention this. George Russell is a pioneer of modal jazz, and this record was is seen as a highly influential recording when it comes to modal jazz. Even though this recording you can't really pin it down, it's kind of modal, it's kind of avant-garde, it's kind of free jazz, it's modern. It's a number of things, but it is a pioneer record. He is a pioneering musician that I feel doesn't get his just due a lot. But this is a great record. Ed Felix, George Russell. I saw this record, I pounced on it straight away. Anyway, modal jazz. This is what we're getting into it. Into we're keeping it cool, we're keeping it hip, we're keeping it good fine records, and we're keeping it hi-fi recluse. Let's do it.